Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the SC2 Improved Team League. My name is Fear Dragon, and today I'm joined here by Boisterous SC2. How you doing today, man?
Man, you just ambushed me there completely.
I gave you a countdown and everything, okay?
Where did you give me a countdown?
I held up my hands and said 3, 2, 1.
I don't look at you all the time, Fear Dragon.
Welcome to the SC2 Improved League, where, of course, we are always the utmost professional as possible. We're going to be jumping into a great series. It's going to be IvD versus Team Immortals. And both these teams have I's in their name. They both start with I, but only one of them is going to be able to come out on top. Boisterous, we're already jumping into the series. I actually told the players that we were ready when we haven't really had time to do any of the intros. So we're just jumping into it, man. Do you want to take it away with that first player introduction once the actual games load?
I don't know, Fear Dragon. That's not really what I signed up for.
Oh, I'm very sorry. But guys, for those of you who don't know, SC2 Improve League for America. This is actually something that normally happens in Europe, but it's happening in America. And of course, we are actually, I think, in week 2 or 3 of the SC2 Improve League. I think this is week 3. But
Yes.
basically, it's an all-kill style format, best of 7 team league. And we're going to find out a little bit more about these players as we go ahead and jump into the game and introduce them. Boisterous, take it over with the first player introduction.
Spotted up here in the top right-hand corner as our red Terran player, the first player sent out by Team Immortal. It is going to be Nero.
And his opponent, spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map as the blue Zerg player representing Team IvD Gaming, it is going to be No Regret.
No Regret actually dancing one of its drones a little bit there. Not quite sure why.
Wait, did he really type /dance on one of his drones?
No, he was just like dancing it back and forth between a mineral.
Oh, huh. I don't know. I think it may you may have just been mineral stacking and trying to make sure that he gets optimal mining.
Yeah. That's what it would appear to be, but it looked like a fun dance, Fear Dragon. I kind of wanted to join in.
I wouldn't blame you, man. But we are going to be kicking off this series, guys, and for those of you who don't know, we are actually broadcasting this over on twitch.tv/FearDragon64. We have a chat going, so if you're watching this through Team Liquid, through the event calendar, feel free to jump on through and participate a little bit in the chat. We will be reading the chat, although we're going to be on a short 2-minute delay, so keep that in mind when you're asking us any questions or whatever. But, Boisterous, we're seeing Reaper opening from Nero. How do you feel about Reaper openings?
I actually like them a lot, especially on Overgrowth. I feel like Overgrowth is one of the more Reaper-friendly maps in the current pool. It's really easy to get into pretty much any position in your opponent's base, if you really want to. And honestly, just getting that scouting information is so nice because it kind of lets you get early gas without really feeling gimped at all, because you kind of get the benefit from it.
Yeah, and I mean, Reaper openings are so common these days in the matchup. Like, it's honestly almost become more of a surprise when it's not a Reaper opening. But we also have a couple of things going on in the Zerg place. What do you think that No Regret's up to right now?
I mean, I think this is just going to be a standard kind of macro build for him. I would expect him to get the second hatchery up and then start speed and go for the third pretty soon after it. I don't think he's really going to be doing anything too crazy. I'm not expecting a Roach all-in from No Regret right now.
Yeah, you know, this, I think I'm with you there. I mean, like, we had a hatch first and everything. The Gas Geyser is a bit more interesting just because, as you were saying, Zergling speed going to be nice. I think it's going to be able to do a nice job dealing with the Reaper.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, you don't want to just give that Reaper completely full reign of your base until, I mean, really forever, honestly. That Reaper can kind of do whatever the hell it wants until you get Speedlings out.
Yeah, the Queens are going to be helpful in kind of stopping it from getting actual drone kills, but, I mean, your slow Zerglings only do so much. The Reapers kind of dance around and get full scouting information on everything, but Reaper's finally here, going to be poking away at that hatchery. And behind this, I do want to note, looking pretty standard from Nero, getting up the factory. I expect to see a reactor starting on that barracks soon, and also getting up that command center.
Yeah, this really doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, the factories are... like, they've been coming out so fast recently in pretty much every stage of play. Like, I don't think I've seen a delayed factory in at least a few weeks between SPL and GSL. It's just crazy how fast they're coming out now.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit funny, though, because, you know, factories, it used to actually be, like, back in the days of Wings of Liberty, it would go command center, obviously, because you started with command center, but then it'd go barracks, then factory, then command center. your natural expansion. But now, I mean, it's been like this for a good year and a half, so no big surprise here. But I mean, Terran players have been opting to get that command center a little bit on the earlier side. Then they go for the factory, the reactor, and they put on these sort of eventual pressure with 2 Reapers, 4 Hellions or so, and you can usually do some good damage here. But oh my God, Boisterous! Look at the production tab.
That is quite a few Zerglings for your dragon. He's definitely going to do something now.
This is not a defensive number of Zerglings, Boisterous.
No, it is not.
This is an aggressive number. He's gonna try and intercept the Hellions, I think, before they even actually really are able to pop out and move out across the map. This is gonna allow him to maybe get some good creep spread up or something. But I mean, he doesn't actually have. I mean, investing in all these Zerglings means he didn't really have an opportunity to get a 3rd queen. So, oh my God, Banelings! What did he make to Baneling? He gets on the main base.
Wow, I can't believe that Nero just let him walk into the main base, and then his Reapers get trapped. Oh
and
my
the Hellions,
God!
The Hellions get trapped up against the Zerglings and the SCVs actually. Oh man,
was potentially one of the worst engagements I have ever seen.
Oh God! Wait! Oh no! That was a really cute move by Nero. He was trying to actually get these Banelings to detonate on the command center by landing the CC right next to the Banelings, but the Banelings were on hold position. Yeah. And they're just gonna walk on home. Like he morphed Banelings in front of Nero's command center and just said, "I don't need them. I've done enough damage. 17 SCVs to 40 drones. I mean, are you kidding me?"
Yeah, no, that was a little bit painful to watch. We now have the Banshees coming out along with Cloak, so he might be able to get some counter damage done, but it was already scouted. He has Spore Crawlers on the way. There's really going to be nothing that Nero can pull off at this point in the game. He's going to have to try to reestablish that natural and catch back up in economy, but it's going to be a long road for him.
Exactly. It's going to be so difficult to actually establish that natural expansion, and he's going to try and finally move down once again, and he has, you know, a decent number of Hellions, like an okay number of Hellions to try and defend it against, you know, big speedling attack. But I like what he's doing with his Banshee. He's going to be picking away at that 3rd expansion. Guess what? We were talking about it earlier. There's not really a lot of extra queens or anything to go attack that Banshee and stop it from killing this 3rd. There's not really a whole lot of creep to get Spore Crawlers over there. I don't think this 3rd is actually going to go up.
I mean, the big question is, how much does it really matter? Because now we see the Hellions trying to engage this massive pack of Zerglings and actually doing it beautifully. But we have 4 Banelings on the hind trying to come in, and they actually get terrible detonations on 1 Hellion. And it looks like this is actually going to swing heavily in Nero's favor, at least this engagement will. Now, the worker lead is still crazily in No Regrets' favor, but he can't keep giving away small engagements like this.
This is working out really well for Nero, I have to say, and No Regret is going to continue to try and put on a little bit of pressure, get a couple of SCV kills. No, just going to back off with those Zerglings. But I mean, he lost his 3rd expansion. The Banshees managed to kill it off, and now they're going to move into the natural expansion, see what damage they can do. And they probably shouldn't be able to get too much done with the Spore Crawlers there, but still, he has killed off the 3rd. He's killed off a lot of the units, and honestly, he can start muling up. Maybe once his 3rd expansion actually finishes, he's going to have extra mules and extra SCV production. He could catch back up.
Yeah, he really theoretically could. I mean, he's not that far behind currently, unless one of these Banshees go down. It looks like he will be able to snipe off the Roachborn here, but oh my God, we have the attack going into the main base. A lot of SCVs going down. These Zerglings will get cleaned up, but the question is, how much damage can they get done?
5 workers killed so far, Boisterous, and that is going to be a little bit annoying, but at the same time, the Banshees are actually, they managed to pick off the Roach Warren, actually. So there's no Roach Warren. This Banshee's going to run out of energy. He has to be careful. The Queens are now attacking it. Get out of there, Banshee!
It's going to be, the Banshee's fine. It's a little close. It might be able to stop this hatchery, or at least delay the hatchery a little bit more here. I think, Banshee's out DPS hatchery building slightly.
Yeah. Finally, the Overseer is out as the layer tech is finally finished up, but the 3rd expansion, I don't think this is going to get canceled once again. He needs to make it. Oh my God, cancel! No cancel! Oh, that's actually really painful. No Regret in a bit of a tricky situation, because now he's on 2 bases versus a 2-base Terran. There's a big army trying to charge forward, and he doesn't have any units.
Yeah, this was really sketchy from No Regret. It looks like he will be able to surround the Hellions and clean them up, but he lost a lot of workers there.
He's lost all of his queens. He has 0 queens out on the map right now, Boisterous.
What?
Alright, well, +1 missile attacks is going to be canceled, and soon +1 Carapace might be canceled, but there's a big Zergling run by now going over to the other side of the map, and we'll see how much damage that can do. 2 Widowmine's going to be burrowing at the front, and there is a complete wall, so I don't think he's going to be able to get too much done over there. Oh, this Boisterous, this is a really, really weird game.
As a Zerg player, this is almost painful to watch. I mean, like, he had such an insane lead in the early game, but he just didn't make queens or tech.
You know, I have to agree with you, Boisterous. I'm sure these players are maybe just feeling a little bit nervous or something. It's the first game of the series and everything, but this game has been a little bit messy. And, oh, Banshee could end up falling. One of them already actually ended up falling. And these Banshees have such an immeasurable amount of value, just canceling this third expansion over and over and over again. And it looks like he will get out with that final Banshee. He needs to go repair it up. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, Boisterous, where do you think we sit? It's hard to tell.
It's really hard to tell, because if you look at the third expansion of Nero, No Regret already has it creeped. It's going to be very hard for Nero to push out and take that. But at the same time, I mean, No Regret needs the third base, and he needs it now. Like, he cannot let this thing get denied again, or he's just going to fall way too far behind. He's going to have a hard time defending against this push, but it's not going to be impossible. He does have the Roches that he needs to do to hold off these Widow Mines. He has the Overseers and everything like that. And honestly, this force, it's not crazy huge. The only thing that's really scary about it is the 8 Widow Mines. The rest of it's kind of just chump change.
Well, one other thing to consider is the fact that +1/+1 is actually going to be finishing up relatively soon, about 20 or so seconds. And you have to remember, those Banshees, they killed off the Evolution Chambers. They canceled 1/1 for No Regret. So there's going to be a nice little upgrade lead for Nero as he moves in over here to the third expansion. Try and deny it, but there are a lot of Roaches over here, Boisterous.
Yeah, but as soon as all these Widow Mines fire, that's almost all of the firepower for the army of Nero, and it looks like they are going to go.
Oh, the Banelings!
God! The Banelings got ruined there. There's only 2 Widow Mines left, but they got their work done, Fear Dragon.
Oh my god, that worked out so well for Nero. I mean, I was very skeptical alongside you, I think, on how much damage he could really try and do over there. Now he's loaded up into a medevac, double medevac drop over the main base. It looks like the Roaches are there to anticipate it, but I mean, you have to remember, Boisterous, that yeah, he didn't kill off the third expansion, but he killed off so many Banelings, and those Banelings were an investment from No Regret into an immediate army. It was an investment saying, I'm not going to get my tech up right now. I'm not going to get up any kind of lair tech, Hydralisten, not Roachborn, but, you know, Spire tech, Mutalis, or whatever. I'm going to delay that because I need an army right now. And he ended up losing all of those gas-intensive Banelings.
For nothing, really. He didn't, I don't think he even really needed them, to be quite perfectly honest. I mean, his Roach army could have repelled that army because they're just so good at fighting against Widow Mines, but it looks like he is going to be pushing up right now. There isn't that much here to defend, but Nero is going for the counter drop into the main base of No Regret. As No Regret hits the third base, Nero should just be able to lift and run here. He is going to lose all of these SCVs because he's not retreating with them.
Well, he's going to be actually just focusing all of his attention over in the main base, trying to get as much damage done as possible. Now, unluckily for Nero, the lair is not over here, so he cannot snap that off. But he does get the Baneling Nest, could even go for the spawning pool, and is definitely going to get this hatchery, it looks like, before a lot of these units manage to make it over to the main base.
Yeah, and it looks like Nero will be able to pull out here and be relatively safe. He only loses half of the units. Oh my, the Widow Mines. Oh my god, that is a lot of Widow Mines.
Oh, but is it going to be enough, Boisters? I mean, yeah, he can defend his natural expansion, but I don't know if his third is safe. I feel like No Regret should go over there and try and get some damage on, at least deny mining for over here.
I mean, now we see No Regret, and he's finally getting to the point where this army can kind of pack a punch. He has Roach movement speed and Burrow done, and he can finally kind of start doing damage, and that looks like what he's going to go. He's going to be going right in here at the front wall. The SCVs are pulled off the line. They're using themselves as body blockers for the rest of the army, and it looks like Nero, he's trying to push this army back, but it's just so big. There's so many Roaches.
Yeah, but it looks like he's finally been able to get up enough units. He has the Marines, he has the Marauders, and 2-2 has just finished up. He's going to be able to hold on, and No Regret is going to have to back off. And No Regret, he has to retake this expansion over in his main base just for the gas income, I think. But, I mean, there's not even that much gas over there. Honestly, he just needs to get some Overlords poop and creep on that spawning pool, because that's actually going to die soon. Oh, here comes in the drop.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be able to get any real damage done. The army from No Regret is just a little bit too close. I'm still amazed that No Regret doesn't have more creep spread. I mean, he has like no creep spread in the game, and he has gotten a lot of queen sniped, but it's such a
Yeah.
pivotal point, especially on this map, where all of your bases are like they're spread out, but they're only spread out by like 2 creep tumors, and you really need to get those connected.
No, I completely agree, and I think it comes back to what you just said. It was the queens being sniped, but now we end up having a little bit of a meta drop over here. Not going to get too much damage done, but still, just keeping his opponent at home and keeping an eye on what's going on. Seeing he went ahead and checked the 4th expansion, and is actually going to be checking the gold expansion as well, so he knows his opponent is on a pretty low base economy. But I agree. It's kind of like what you were saying. The crease rate is just not there for Norgard, and that's really going to influence how a lot of these engagements go. And these burrowed... Wait, did he just reveal burrow?
Oh,
he
no.
just waited until he got over to the medevac and unburrowed.
I mean, he has the little spikes on his head.
That's
I think
true,
that
yeah.
I think that any Tyrant player worth their salt would figure out that he had burrow. But anyway, it looks like we are going to have Nero setting up a defensive position here. That has a lot of Widowmines yet again. But the question is, are they going to be doing more damage to the Tyrant forces than they are to the Zerg? Here, the Roach forces are finally pushing forward, but there isn't enough of them this time. There are no Banelings to really wipe out this massive Marine force. And it looks like this engagement will go heavily into Nero's favor, as No Regret has to pull back, and he doesn't have the larva count. He doesn't have the queen count. He's only working on 2 hatcheries right now, Fear Dragon. That is painful. He's finally got his 3rd one back up, but it's not really into full swing yet, and it's going to be so hard for him to reproduce to fight off this army.
I think this might be curtains boisterous as Nero's starting to push in. He's going to need some amazing Banelings Lance New Regret is to try and make this work. JJ gets called, and Nero going to be taking game number 1 in this best of 7 series.
Yeah, I mean, I if you had told me that Nero would have won that game 4 minutes in, I would have called you an idiot, Fear Dragon. Now, of course, I call you an idiot in almost every circumstance, so it's not really that special.
That's true,
but,
you do.
But I mean, like, he lost that first engagement so handily. Like, he managed to wipe out the Zerglings, but
yeah,
he just managed to keep his cool. I think that if No Regret had maybe targeted down the tech lab, he definitely could have won that game instead of trying to
that's
chase.
an interesting idea, yeah.
Yeah, instead of trying to chase his opponent all the way around the map.
You know, I wonder if it was like that, or even just like if he had been able to get up that 3rd expansion against the Banshee, if he had found like a little bit of extra minerals to get up an extra queen to send over to that 3rd and try and deal with that Banshee. I mean, he did end up having his Lair Tech up eventually, and he got out the Overseers and everything to detect the Banshees. He just didn't have any anti-air to kill them. So I feel like one of those 2 things would have been a great choice. But you know, at the end of the day, you can only really commentate on what actually has happened and the decisions that were made. And at the end of the day, Nero ended up just playing out a little bit better, a little bit messy, I have to say, for game number 1, but you know what? I don't blame him too much. It's the first game of the series, and I'm sure nerves are kind of getting into them. And to be entirely frank, boisterous, I think that IvD Gaming has a little bit more of a name to it than Team Immortals, and I think that Immortal Gaming, they might be a little bit more on the nervous side right now.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, IvD, you kind of see them around. Like, they might not might not be winning every league they enter, but they're definitely there all over the place. And they definitely have the experience of playing in these kind of formats.
Yeah. I mean, they've definitely played in a lot of different team leagues. I mean, and it's not just like some of the, you know, more, I would say, smaller team leagues that exist, but also even stuff like Shaocraft Clan Wars. They have been participating in there and like beaten some of the Korean teams. I mean, these guys are pretty damn good, and it's no slight to Immortals, to Immortal Gaming to say that, you know what, I think that IvD is the favorite team, but it's awesome to see that Team Immortals already up 1-0 in this series.
Yeah. And actually, I just realized this, looking at the stats, but Nero created so many more workers that game. Was he out? He was definitely out.
He lost a lot of workers. You have to remember that.
Yeah.
And I think that also comes a little bit back down to the 3rd expansion being delayed, and as well as like the main base hatchery being sniped. And it's a matter of when you're Terran, if you lose like your 3rd expansion, but you keep the command center alive, you can keep producing more SCVs and everything. That's kind of what happened, right? He lost his natural expansion, but he kept the command center alive. He had a 3rd expansion, but he couldn't safely actually defend it, so he just had it in his main base producing SCVs. Whereas if you're a Zerg player like No Regret, you lose your hatchery. That's it. That's production that you're losing, not just the idea of mining from an expansion. You're losing out on the ability to make more units.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, we should be able to jump into the game number 2 pretty soon. We're just going to be waiting on the players to or the teams to pick what player is going to be playing next. I think that Nero should be playing again in game number 2, but we're going to be waiting to see who from IvD Gaming is going to be playing. And honestly, this kind of goes back to IvD being a little bit more of the favorite in the series. And again, it's no slight to Immortal Gaming. They've actually obviously shown that they have some pretty damn good players.
Yeah.
But IvD has a really deep roster of players that they could send out. They could send out Arium, actually, who I'd love to see. He actually just qualified for WCS Premier League America, and I'm a huge Arium fan, so he would be cool to see. But then there's also the Koreans, like Apocalypse, Gamja, who's again pretty damn good. Just speaking of team leagues, he actually nearly got an all kill on Root Gaming in the Deimos Esports team league, a team league that used to exist. Rest in peace. But Gamja's pretty damn good, man. I don't know, what kind of race would you like to see come out against No Regret?
Honestly, I think that I could see another Zerg taking Nero down. I think that there was a lot of early game fidgeting from Nero, and I'm not sure if that's going to be smoothed out in the next game, but No Regret, I feel like that game could have gone so much better for him. And honestly, Nero, his builds, it felt like there were a lot of holes in it. Going to attack with an army that is pretty much purely Widowmine, that's a little bit iffy.
It was interesting because we kind of criticized that, but at the same time, he got the third with the attack. And he didn't get the third with the attack. No, actually, he got the third later on.
He wiped out all the Banelings.
Yeah, that was it. He killed off all the Banelings. But it was a very interesting engagement, and against a Roach Baneling army, I'm trying to think how many medevacs he had, because I feel like
2.
Now that I think about it, he could have actually just tried lifting off and retreating.
He did that.
But I suppose no matter what, he loses all the Widow Mines because they're burrowed, right?
Yeah.
They're pretty committed to the attack at that point.
Well, I mean, that's what you just described is pretty much exactly what happened, except instead of lifting off and retreating, he lifted off and dropped the main.
Yeah, that's true. Should be interesting though. Yeah, I think that a Zerg player would be an interesting choice against No Regret. Early game control. Yeah, I could see that working out well for a good Zerg player like Gamja or something. There's also, of course, Zerg Zing, who's also a really, really awesome player from IvD Gaming. And has I won't say that he has the crazy style in ZVZ, but his ZVP is really awesome, and I hope that we get a chance to see it. He likes to go for Baneling drops, which is something you don't see very often.
You don't see it anymore.
Exactly, man. It's a bit of a shame because I think that they're still really, really cool. But yeah, so I think Gamja Zerg Zing would maybe be a good choice then, if we're gonna go for a Zerg player. To be entirely honest, I wouldn't even mind that much seeing. Oh, sorry. Whoa, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Boisterous. We're gonna need to see another player against Nero, not No Regret. So not ZVZ. I mean ZVT.
Yeah.
Again.
That's what I've been talking about.
Right. I've not been talking about that at all. I've been saying ZVZ and all this other kind of stuff. Hey man,
only top level professionalism over here
Sorry
at Twitch.tv/SpearDragon60.
Oh my god. Sorry about that, guys. I've had a very, very long day. Been up since 7 or 6 a.m. Of course, coming back from work and commentating, but you know what? That's what you got to do for StarCraft sometimes.
That's passion, man. That's pure passion.
But yeah, I mean, we are still going to be waiting for whoever these players actually pick next. As actually, it looks like... Who is going to be their next player? Who is...
I don't know.
IvD's next player? Map. So as we wait to find that out, I do also want to let you guys know in terms of the map pool, if you're not too familiar with the SC2 Improve League, we are using the current ladder map pool. I think that 1 or 2 of the weeks was played before this season of the ladder was going on, and it was played on the old season's ladder map pool, but I think that we're just gonna be going on with the current ladder map pool. Well, that's I just saw a really trolly comment. Sorry, one of the players from Team Immortal Gaming was like, "Well, I think IvD should send out their player manager who's not in GM or anything, and we'll send him out on Frost." It's like that's not a legal map, Immortal. Oh, I see what you did there. Dine also saying his laptop can't even handle the game right now. I was like, yeah, I think that's a good reason not to send out your player manager.
Yeah, it's not a terrible plan.
Oh, dude, I actually got PM'd the next player, so I'm gonna go ahead and make that. Hey, no clapping, okay?
You got a timestamp on that PM Fear Dragon?
I do, but I'm not gonna tell anybody. But I just want to give a shout out to everyone in the chat that's actually tuning in. Hey, Hyrona. We have Cole's. Cole's actually one of the SC2 Improved Team League casters. We have Ghost HN cheering for Nero, and Team Immortals Gaming's XOXO. How's it going, guys? But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get this next game going, and we already have the players. It is going to be IvD Gaming's Apocalypse versus, of course, Team Immortal Gaming's Nero. And I don't know, Boisterous, what do you think about this? And I don't know if you remember this, but Apocalypse is the Korean player for Team IvD Gaming.
No, Apocalypse is pretty scary, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. He's gonna be hard to deal with, man. Well, we did in fact get a Terran player out, so it's gonna be a TVT. And I've got to say, this is especially going to be hard, because getting a TVT against a player that, you know, is a Korean, has this like big name for going in his favor and everything, has the brand name recognition of IvD Gaming. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a little bit intimidating, but you know what? Nero just came off of a win. I don't know. Do you think he's still going to be feeling okay about this?
You know, I think that you just gotta feel confident. You gotta fake confidence, Fear Dragon, until you beat him and win.
That's fair. That's fair.
And that's my plan in life. To everybody, just fake confidence until you win the game.
I suppose that does work. But yeah, sorry guys, I am going to just be getting these the Game Heart lobby settings set up, as there are quite a few that I have to set up. But what exactly is the map, and kind of give us your thoughts about how TVT can go on this map.
I love merry-go-rounds purely because I love the dynamic of 3-player maps, Fear Dragon, because they help out the cheeser. They help out the small man in StarCraft. Everyone looks down on the cheeser, but 3-player maps help them out. They lift them up.
Sorry guys, you're just gonna have to keep talking, man. I'm setting up the game lobby.
Oh man, we need Curran. That's who we need right now.
Big shout out to Curran TV. I doubt he's actually watching this right now, but he is actually the best observer in North America. He handles all this stuff for us usually, so I'm just kind of like, oh well, I guess I just have to stop talking while I do this. But it looks like we have it finally set up, and we're gonna be getting ready to jump into the game. And hey, what's up to Muratan, former caster for StarCraft? He hasn't casted for a while, but still big into Magic the Gathering. He actually reminds me a lot of you, Boisterous.
What? Doesn't cast StarCraft anymore? Lost his passion?
No. He's as much of a troll as you.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Just by the way, Fear Dragon, I was messing with Fear Dragon earlier by holding up a notebook before the cast started. All those pages were completely blank. I was just messing with you. They were all blank. Oh my god.
So you guys need to understand like the trials and tribulations of casting with this guy, all right?
I was just going like this to Fear Dragon.
And he was holding up like this blank notebook, like pretending there was something written on it. I was like, what do you have written? What is it? Because I had, the stream is live and everything. We're both muted. We can't really communicate with each other outside of just like hand signals. So he's just completely messing with me. And, oh god. This guy is crazy whenever we were trying to actually get anything started. He also shows up late for everything.
What are you saying? Fear Dragon, we will get into this argument later, because right now we're spawning in on merry-go-round right here. On the right-hand side, we are going to have from Team Immortal, the victor of the last game, the blue Terran player. It is Nero.
And his opponent spawning up in the top left-hand corner of the map as the red Terran player representing Team IvD Gaming, the Korean himself. It is going to be Apocalypse. And I do apologize, guys. I just realized that I had not updated the score on the previous out-of-game overlay. So I will be sure to update that the next time we hop out of the game.
I mean, Fear Dragon, just be sure to pop up the team standings list at some point during the cast.
Oh, God.
Never let it die. I do not believe he's actually going to see this cast, but I hope he does. Just for that joke. He's going to be so mad at me.
We're just gonna completely ignore that topic and talk a little bit about the game, as we do have reactors going down for both these players, and a little bit earlier for Nero. But generally, whenever you see the reactors coming up around this time, it ends up being some sort of Reaper opening. But you know, Refinery finishing up before the barracks, so I have seen some kind of earlier factory builds come out sometimes.
That might happen here, honestly. I think he'll have about 100 gas by the time this barracks finishes, which is really interesting from Nero. I don't actually know what his plan is there, but I'm excited, Dragon.
Well, there are a couple of different options. When you go for the fast factory, you can go straight up to a really, really fast starport, go into Cloak Banshees. You can do Widow Mine drops, actually. That also involves going up to a fast starport. But then there's also, just Hellion kind of pressure that you can do, all kinds of crazy shenanigans. But we'll find out in just a couple seconds, because, I mean, he has over 100 gas, and yeah, there is going to be that early game factory.
Oh, and from both players,
yeah,
actually.
Factory out from both players. So again, the gas timings weren't too far off. You can see that Nero is a good 30 or so gas up ahead. So that might end up being a little bit of a differentiation between their builds. But I wouldn't be too surprised if they end up going for relatively similar things.
Yeah, I mean, so far their builds are almost exactly the same. The only difference really is that Nero has far more gas. And I'm kind of interested to see what he decides to do with that. Do you think we're going to see a starport get dropped off right after this factory?
I think from Nero, almost definitely.
Yeah.
As, factory's going to be finishing up. We're going to find out. SCV is looking... He's going to build a supply depot just to troll. Nope. It is in fact starport. And Tech Lab going down Sam.
Yeah, Banshees. Very fast Banshees. But will this SCV get in and see it? No! Oh, that SCV... He could have busted in past those Marines. He was dead one way or the other, but he decided to try to run for his family.
Well, he did actually see the factory, and he saw he was building an add-on, and he also saw a third building right next to it. So you could pretty much assume, honestly, at that point, okay, there's probably Cloak Banshees coming, or at least Banshees. We don't know if it's gonna be Cloak yet. But
yeah, I did not think that he peeked up over that ramp. I thought he just stopped right before it, but
yeah, it's hard to tell sometimes. But Nero actually did get an SCV scat out much earlier on than Apocalypse. He sent out that SCV much earlier, and you can actually see that also factors a little bit into the fact that he's just an SCV down. It's just a little bit of extra mining, but he saw the factory, and from there you can pretty much think, okay, you know what? I have to be prepared for the potential of Cloak Banshees, or just Banshees in general. Both these players actually going for Cloak.
Yeah, I just noticed that about 15 seconds ago, and I was like, we're pretty much seeing mirror builds right now.
Yeah, I really do like this decision over here from Nero, though, to go for this Widow Mine, though. Because the thing is, a Widow Mine versus a Banshee, if you're not prepared as the Banshee player, you can just lose your Banshee instantly. If you didn't already get 10, or not necessarily 10 kills, but if you didn't get 5 or so kills on your Banshee, then you could be in a lot of trouble. Whereas Apocalypse opted to use that factory to go for the reactor and start transitioning out into making a lot of Marines. So we could end up seeing Nero get into a nice little lead if this Widow Mine hits the Banshee. If it doesn't, he's going to be a little bit further behind.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to. The Widow Mine is covering the north side of this mining.
Oh, man.
And it looks like Apocalypse coming in through the south.
This could be a little bit unfortunate. And we actually have all the Marines positioned down on the up on the top side, as well as the Banshee's now working its way on some of those SCVs at the same time. It looks like Nero's Banshee getting pretty much deflected by these Marines.
Oh, the Widow Mine. Oh, I think
it's so
he
close.
sees it. Maybe.
He doesn't have detection though. He also needs detection. He doesn't have enough energy for a skin. At the same time, look at this. Raven out for Apocalypse. He finishes out the Banshee with an auto turret placed on the low ground.
Wow. That's pretty sleek, Fear Dragon. It looks like Apocalypse might just straight up win this.
Oh my god.
The Banshee form is about to run out of energy, but it'll be out of that base before that happens.
Well, Banshee from Nero is going to try and go in at some point, but I mean, at this point, I mean, the Apocalypse knows that there's Banshees. He's going to have enough energy for another scan in just a couple of seconds, and he's already done more than enough damage. He's a good 11 workers up ahead. He has a command center actually started, which is more than Nero can really say right now, and to be entirely honest, I don't know how Nero really comes back from this.
Yeah, but at the same time, I said that last game, so I'm not going to doubt it.
That is true. We were saying the exact same thing last game, so never count Nero out, man. He is the kind of player that lives for the comeback.
Man, he's the guy that plays a fiddle while his base burns, and then he just says, nah, screw it, and beats you to death with the fiddle.
Not many players in StarCraft can play both StarCraft and a fiddle at the same time. But this is going to be a little bit more difficult than the last game, I think, as Apocalypse is now moving out with a pretty scary-looking force. He gets over to the middle of the map, sees, okay, you know what, can I make this push-out happen? The thing is, he doesn't have to break in and just murder the main base. All he has to do is deny the natural expansion from really being taken, and I think he'll be in a good spot.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit too...
Oh. Well, no, there's a Raven over here. This isn't going to work. This Widow Mine is...
He's just gonna run a Marine right into it.
I like the caution. I mean, he could have maybe tried to go for it with some of the Marines, but doesn't want a chance of misfire or something going off on a bunch of his Marines. And looks like Banshee's gonna be cloaking up. Oh, Hunter Seeker missile actually going down on some of these Marines, and decent split by by Apocalypse. It doesn't take too much damage over here. The Raven gets taken out, and with that, the detection for Nero. GG gets called. Apocalypse gonna even up the series 1-1.
That was really well played by Apocalypse. And I kind of like how when one Marine got targeted by a Hunter Seeker missile, he split every other Marine around it.
I know, right? It's like normally you would think, like, intuitively,
just split the one Marine
send that one Marine away. Yeah.
But no, that's not how high micro players do it. They want to get that real APM up. They just send everything else away.
It's show off a little bit, man, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a little bit extra flair. It was like a Manor Mule, except a lot more subtle.
It was a really pretty subtle way of doing it, but regardless, Team Apocalypse. I'm not gonna say Team Apocalypse. Team IvD Gaming gonna be tying up the series 1-1, and honestly, this is gonna be the big hurdle because No Regret, no slight to him or anything, but No Regret is probably not the most well-known player in Team IvD Gaming.
Yeah.
He's going to be, I think he's one of those up-and-comers that IvD Gaming has. He has a lot of skill, he has a lot of talent, but this is the big wall. This is the big wall that Immortal Gaming has to climb over.
Yeah, I really like how IvD did that. They sent No Regret out and they got him experience, but it wasn't like everything was riding on him. It was pretty casual for him. They were like, listen, all right, you can go out there, you can try to fight him, but we got Apocalypse in the back room loading up his shotgun. It's all good.
Exactly, he's the backup, and I think that's one of the coolest things about some of these team leagues, like the SC2 Improved Team League, where you get to see some of the players from teams that don't necessarily get as much exposure, but they're still very, very talented players. Yeah,
and it's important for them to get even lower levels of exposure and get out and play those kind of matches.
Exactly, you start to get used to more of that tournament setting and playing against some really, really solid players. Like Apocalypse. I mean, it's not every day you get to play against some of these top level Korean players, or at least players of Korean players of Apocalypse's level, which is still pretty damn high. Yeah, should be interesting to see who exactly Team Immortal sends out next. As we go ahead and ask them about that, as they may not actually realize that the game is over yet, just because we do have a 2-minute delay on the stream. They're probably just now realizing or finding out, on the stream that they did end up losing. They're probably going to be picking out their next player, but let's see, what maps have we already seen so far? I think we've seen
Overgrowth and Merry-Go-Round.
Overgrowth and Merry-Go-Round, yeah.
Which means that we have King Sejong, Catalina, Deadwing, Foxtrot Labs, and Nimbus left. And all of these maps are super interesting.
Oh. Yeah, I'm trying to decide what I would like to see against Apocalypse, like just race-wise and also, I suppose, map-wise. I don't want to see another Terran player. I feel like when you go TVT or just like any kind of mirror matchup, you're oftentimes... Actually, I won't say for any other mirror matchup, because I know that a lot of players like to say, like, PvP or ZVZ, it can be a little bit razor thin, and a lot of really subtle things happen in that matchup where it can kind of shift either way, and sometimes the quote-unquote better player can end up losing in, say, a PvP just because, you know, there are some nice little advantages you can
two or
get.
three mistakes, and
then
the entire game is down the drain. But TvT is a very almost regimented matchup. It's really all about your macro skills and how good you are at timings and everything like that.
Yeah, I think it's a very control-heavy matchup, and a lot of things can really be safely done in a sense. From what I understand, and it's a very adaptive matchup. So I would not actually like to see a TVT or another Terran player come out for Team Immortal. I would love to see a Protoss player actually. I think a Protoss player would be great because I've seen Apocalypse's TVZ, and it is actually pretty scary.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would say Protoss player, probably one of the better bets. I know that Apocalypse, he has like still a pretty good TVP, but I would say from my understanding and from having seen Apocalypse, I think of the matchups you could make him play, TVP probably not his best matchup. Probably not his best.
I mean, TVZ and TVT are definitely they're his better matchups. TVP, I think, is awkward for a lot of Terran players trying to figure it out right now.
Yeah, I think that they're starting to feel a little bit better with the Widowmine changes. Widowmines do actually do quite a bit more splash damage and everything, and you know, a lot of the complaints that Terran players are having may be a little bit more alleviated, but there is still that kind of scare of Terrans right now have a really strong mid game, but when you get into the late game, they start to struggle a little bit against Protoss players. So if you can find a good Protoss player that feels relatively comfortable just making it through the mid game, you might be in a good position as Team Immortal Gaming. But it looks like Immortal Gaming just kind of waiting on their next player, saying that they're not quite ready. But
have you gotten any PMs with their next player and their map choice yet for your Dragon?
I have not.
I've got to check.
I've triple checked at this point. Because now I'm super paranoid that I'm just going to be getting that and not realizing it. Everyone's going to be waiting on me.
You want to give up that timestamp yet?
Yeah, you know what? We can give it the timestamp. Actually, I don't have it. Oh, okay, yeah. Timestamp at 6:33 p.m. Pacific. But that doesn't mean anything anymore.
7 minutes before the game started?
No, it doesn't mean anything anymore. It doesn't mean anything. Because that was... We don't even know how long it's been since that.
Because I see... It looks like when we set up the game, it was 9:40 p.m.
No, we don't have any indication of when the game was set up. Don't be silly. Don't be silly. Alright. But, yeah, I mean, just for anyone that's actually tuning in, maybe for the first time or anything, to the SC2 Improved Team League. For those of you who don't know, this is a best of 7 team league for a lot of the North American players. Normally this does actually only happen in Europe, but Jonathan Ward, who actually does organize the SC2 Improved Team League, really, really amazingly awesome guy. Give him some love on Twitter and everything. But he did actually decide to move it over to America and has been running it now for 4 weeks in America. And I think it's been going pretty well. I
think it's more appropriate to say expanded to America.
Expanded.
It's still going to happen in Europe, and I think...
Separately.
Yeah, it's going to be 2 different leagues, which I actually really like. I like how he finally brought it over to America, gave us some love for your Dragon. Because I tried to cast for the EU version, but I was looking at all the times, and I was like, I don't understand these time zones.
This is 6 a.m. in the morning.
It goes past 12 p.m. What is this? What is 14:30 GMT for your Dragon? I don't understand.
What is a GMT?
I know 3 time zones.
Is that a type of taco? Can I eat it? I don't even know, man. But yeah, it's great to see them kind of expanding over to America and giving some of these American teams a chance to compete. But it looks like they are Team Immortal. Just kind of apologizing for the delay. saying that their players lagging and having a little bit of trouble coming on. So guys, we're going to cut to a short little break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back with game number 3 between IvD Gaming and Team Immortal Gaming. Hello everyone, welcome back to the SC2 Improved Team League. My name is Fear Dragon and I'm once again joined here by Boisterous SC2. How you doing today, man?
Well, I just learned that you know nothing about history, so I'm very disappointed, Fear Dragon. That was a funny joke, and I promise you that.
I am an American and I don't care about the history of other countries. This is the
So
SC2
disappointing.
Improved Team League America. But we are going to be jumping into game number 3 between these two teams as IvD Gaming's Apocalypse has finally been fielded. And he has already taken out one of Team Immortal Gaming's players, and he's going to be looking to try and take down another, but I'm sure Immortal Gaming has something to say about that. Who are they going to be sending out? Boisterous, it is a complete mystery to me.
Complete mystery. No one knows.
Who in the world could they be sending out? Maybe it's not a complete mystery because we are actually in the game lobby and the game is getting started. The map is going to be King Sejong Station, and we're going to be seeing a TVZ on this map. So a Zerg player going to be sent out. It's going to be Immortal Gaming Spectrum.
Oh, wait, well, you figured it out?
I did figure it out. I thought about it a little bit.
How did
I
you
was
do
like,
that
well,
one?
I learned how to read in kindergarten, so let me try it. Let me give it a shot. All right, we'll see how this goes. And it turns out it went pretty well, but Boisterous, why don't you go ahead and take it away and introduce that first player.
That was a solid one. Down here in the bottom right-hand corner from Team Immortal, we have as our pink Zerg player trying to bring it back for his team. It is Spectrum.
And his opponent spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of the map as the red Terran player representing Team IvD Gaming. It is going to be the Korean Apocalypse. Quite literally bringing the apocalypse to this series for Immortal Esports, unless they're careful and find a way to kill him. How does one kill an apocalypse, Boisterous?
That was a sweet 3-sentence long joke, Fear Dragon.
I got the point
truly
across.
top shelf stuff.
I got the point across eventually. I'll be here all week, folks.
No, we won't. We're out after this, Fear Dragon. We're done. Me and
We're
you.
gonna be casting for a week straight.
We should do that sometime, Fear Dragon. I'm sure that would go well.
I don't know if we would kill each other. I don't know if I would kill you at some point. Gonna be
Fear
honest,
Dragon.
Boisterous.
You live way too far away.
That is true. You have safety and distance, but
Exactly.
what exactly is going on in this game? We've already seen one TVZ in game number 1, but this one may end up being a little bit different.
Well, not from Apocalypse's end, because it looks like he's going to be doing the exact same Reaper build.
Yeah, and again, the Reaper build, pretty freaking standard these days.
Yeah,
It's, again,
it's-
more of a surprise to not see it happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much the only build out there. And meanwhile, on the other side, we actually have pretty much the same build yet again. The
Yeah.
The extractor might be a little bit later. It actually looks like it will be a little bit later. But other than that, very similar.
Yeah, and when you end up having a Zerg player sort of delaying that extractor, that does allow them to get up those queens a little bit earlier on, as well as also just getting up a couple more queens earlier on to get up some creep spread or whatnot. And you know, that was something that in game number 1 we saw the Zerg player lacking a little bit. So this could actually be a really great way of dealing with that and making sure that you get that creep spread out, because it helps a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, creep spread is integral to this matchup. You got to be able to get to where the Terran player is, especially if they're drop heavy. You have to be right in their face.
Yeah, I honestly don't think that Apocalypse is entirely opposed to dropping a whole lot. In fact, I think that he very much enjoys it, but we'll have to wait and see. 6 Zerglings going to be on the way. 6 Zerglings, you know, with 2 queens and 6 Zerglings, you can pretty much defend against any kind of Reaper aggression for a good bit of time, even if there is a second or a third coming out. And it looks like there is a second coming out. Oh.
Yes. Oh, wow. That Reaper almost got surrounded.
Yeah, the Reaper actually getting a drone kill, which is honestly a little bit surprising. Normally, you do end up seeing Zerg players being able to hold off against the Zerglings, or sorry, against the Reapers, and not really losing any drones. Generally, you just end up losing maybe 2 or 3 of these Zerglings, but Apocalypse is really doing a good job with this micro.
Yeah, that Reaper, it looked a little bit close at some stages. Like, I
Yeah.
was not completely sure it was going to make it out of some of those spots alive. But now we
Oh!
have two of them together teaming up. But one of them's getting a little bit low, the second one also getting low. The Queen has now been pulled from the natural, and one of those Reapers does go down.
That's going to be a nice little win for Spectrum, but I mean, he did end up losing 2 drones, took a lot of damage on a lot of his Zerglings, and at the end of the day, we actually have 4 units lost for a Reaper. Honestly, I think Apocalypse is going to be a little bit happier with that. Now, these are, again, the small little differences in the openings, or the small little wins that you get, but there's mental advantages that come with those, and just getting a little bit out-microed in the early game can maybe put a little bit of a mental edge for Spectrum.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think Spectrum really feels that bad about that engagement because from a top-down perspective, it looks pretty good for him. Like, it didn't look terrible, honestly. Getting that Reaper is kind of huge because it slows down Hellion pushes a lot.
It does. That's true. And, I mean, we kind of... Well, actually, no, we didn't get to see what kind of Hellion pushes were usually coming out in game number 1 because we had crazy Zergling aggression in that game. But this time, we're actually going to end up seeing the 4 Hellions and presumably the Reaper somewhere.
Yeah, but this is going to get shut down right before it starts. The Queens are already in position to block it. There's already the full wall off. There's not a whole ton that Apocalypse can do here.
Yeah, the most he's going to be able to really do over here is probably shut down a little bit of this creep spread, which actually won't be that bad of a thing to do because there's only 2 creep tumors and they're both on the ramp. One scan could easily take both of those out, and Spectrum's going to have to basically get up enough units to actually kill off or at least deal with these Hellions before you can get any kind of creep spread out to a 3rd expansion.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of doubt that he really cares about losing creep tumors at this point because he has 4 queens, he has 2 extras.
That's true, yeah.
He can kind of have creep all over the place, but there the scan does go down. Both of these creep tumors are going to fall, but again, there's really no aggression that can be done from Apocalypse here. It's just going to be all containing his opponent, which, I mean, it's still good, but yeah.
I mean, if you look at the situation, Apocalypse has his 3rd expansion, his 3rd CC already finished up. He has actually some barracks being added on. He's getting up his upgrades and everything. And most importantly, he has a nice little wall-in going up. The double engineering base in the wall-in is a bit interesting to me. Just because, I mean, he's seen now, like, okay, wait a second, you still don't have a 3rd expansion. What is going on? Like, what are you planning to do? And there's going to be a really big +1/+1 roach attack coming out. And you can see Spectrum is even pooling his roaches in his main base. These engineering bays, they might actually become a huge vulnerability. He might end up losing +1/+1 because they're part of the wall-in.
That's a good point. I mean, these roach attacks is definitely going to hit before that finishes. As soon as these 10 roaches finish up, I would expect him to start pushing out across the map.
Oh my god, the Reaper actually makes its way into the main base, but amazingly enough, this is actually a really good control from Spectrum. He runs those roaches down to the natural expansion. The Reaper is going down to the natural. He sees a lot of roaches.
Yeah, and that kind of has to be go time for Spectrum. He can't wait anymore past that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's more bunkers going up now for Apocalypse over the natural expansion. He's going to be probably opting to make Marauders where he can from that one barracks with the tech lab. He's going to be getting out some medevacs, and this is going to be a really, really difficult situation for Spectrum. I don't know if this is going to work that well.
I mean, I kind of like what Spectrum did. As soon as he got spotted, he just yelled, "Cheese it, boys," and stopped roach production. And now he's going full on back into drones. He's just penning his opponent back into his base. And these roaches, he might not be able to take a fight up the ramp, but he can definitely hold this Terran force from going down the ramp for a little while.
Yeah, and the roaches are going to be poking in over here, just trying to see what damage they can do. They need to wait for roach speed to actually finish up, and in the meanwhile, they can try and knock down that wall in. But this is what we were talking about, Boisters. That engineering bay is very vulnerable, but the SCVs are doing a good job repairing it back up.
Yeah, the only issue is that he has to pull all of his SCVs to manage that.
Yeah.
And it looks like these roaches are going to be forced to run at this point. Concussive Shells does not appear to be done yet, so he should be able to get away rather safe, or at least have Apocalypse waste all of his medevac energy on stims. But it looks like this double drop is going to be happening right now, Fear Dragon.
I think that's a good choice. I mean, we ended up seeing Spectrum. At first it looked like it was going to be a really big committed attack, but as you were saying, like immediately as soon as that was the attack was going to be spotted, he went back into drone production, and he's gotten up that 3rd expansion finally. And now he has a decent number of roaches still left over and alive to deal with this medevac drop. So I feel like Spectrum is actually not in that bad of a situation, especially with the Hydrals now finally coming out.
Yeah, I mean, not at all. If you look at Apocalypse, he is now finally getting his 3rd base set up, but his SCV count isn't too impressive to go ahead and switch over to that. We do have 4 Marauders in a dropship, actually. This is really interesting. This is like a building killing squad.
Oh, that is most definitely a building killing squad, and it looks like he's heading that over to the main base.
No, he's going right for the natural.
Huh, this is really interesting. There's no tech over there, but oh, he's going to be going after the queen, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a terrible plan. It's a rather easy pickoff.
At the same time, Helion's darting into the 3rd expansion. Oh my god, 12 drones already killed so far. Now transforming into Hellbats. Going to be going after that queen. The drones need to be careful not to move back in over there. The Hellbats finally cleaned up. At the same time, the Marauders still doing damage to the natural expansion. The Marines in the main base taking out the spawning pool and could very well go after some more of these units that are just kind of streamlining in one at a time.
God. Just, oh my god, Fear Dragon. Oh my god, now he's gonna drop right once again at the 3rd.
He's gonna kill more units.
Oh, this is so painful to watch. It looks like he won't be able to get those workers again, but
he killed off the queen again.
I think Spectrum still has enough queens for a full spread.
No, he only has 2 queens.
Oh man, that's painful.
Oh god, he's not even making any more right now. This is like upsetting to see, because you remember he had a lot of queens. He opted to go for like the more gasless expand, and he opted to get a lot more queens up, and now he's lost most of those queens. He still has decent creep spread, but geez, he's taking so much damage.
I mean, he just got chunked pretty much. Like that 3 medevac drop, that 3-way medevac drop, he was not prepared for that. And now he's going to be trying to push out across the map, but his army, it's so small. It's a little baby army, Fear Dragon.
It's going to be very difficult to make this work, Boisters, but he does have +2/+2. If you can get maybe a good engagement angle away from those siege tanks, he might be able to make something work. The Hydrals in the back trying to DPS down what they can, but these Marines and these Marauders, there's just so many of them. I don't even know if he needs the siege tanks to take on this army.
No, he really doesn't. I mean, just look at the size of this Bioforce, and Apocalypse takes the game. Wow.
And really that is, yeah, that is going to bring the series 2-1 in favor of IvD Gaming. So IvD Gaming finally taking a lead in the series for the first time, but again, they were kind of the favorites. But here's the thing. Apocalypse is really damn good. And I feel really bad for saying this, but even if he loses in game number 3 or something, Immortal Gaming have to deal with both Apocalypse as well as the other Korean on Team IvD Gaming, Gamja, who's a really good Zerg player, and then they have to deal with a Premier League Protoss player, Arium, and the crazy, like Zerg Zing Zing, who can just really go for all kinds of different builds. And like, there's a couple other players in IvD Gaming. Like, there's a lot of depth in the roster. So I feel like, Immortal Gaming, if they're pulling any punches right now, this is the time where you feel is your absolute best player. You do not kind of like just send out like a player that you think is going to be able to like do okay. Like, you need to make sure that you send out a player that's going to be able to beat Apocalypse right now. Don't worry about any of the other players. Send out someone who can beat Apocalypse, and then send out your most solid player, like, overall. Yeah.
That's really... They don't have any options past that. It's going to be... It's an uphill battle for Immortal. Because these are some of the best players probably in this league right now.
Yeah, I would not be too against calling IvD Gaming one of the like higher rated teams in the league, or at least anticipated to be one of the higher placing teams. I mean, they did really well in some of the other North American team leagues, such as the Deimos Esports Team League or the DETL, if you're more familiar with that name. So it should be interesting. I'm not going to count Immortal Gaming out just yet. They've shown that they have some pretty solid players. Yeah. But they have to find Apocalypse's number. And again, Boisters, I said this after game number 2. I'm going to say it again. Send out a Protoss player. I think that's their best bet against Apocalypse.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he showed with that multi drop that he knows how to mess with the Zerg's head.
Hmm.
Because he dropped 3 times, but he dropped 3 times in 3 different places with things that you need different types of units to
He,
counter.
he actually dropped 4 in 4 different places with 3 drops, which doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. But he dropped like he did a double medevac drop over the natural expansion, while the other drop was moving over to like across the map. And when that drop was finally arriving at the natural expansion, he pulled up the drop that he already had there, moved it over to the main base to pull all the army over there,
Yeah.
and then dropped like the Marauders and picked off the Queen, and then shot in some Hellions like at the third expansion to do some damage,
Yeah.
and then dropped his main base, like the 2 medevac drop with Marines over to the third expansion. So yeah, he did a pretty awesome job with that. And yeah, you might be thinking, well, a Protoss player can also get picked apart with that, but it's a little bit easier. I won't say it's like solved, but it's a little bit easier when you have Photon Overcharge at your disposal.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you drop one photon overcharge, and you can kind of say that that base is safe.
Safe-ish. I
Yeah.
As a Protoss player, I'm just
Safe
gonna say, like, it
asterisk.
doesn't feel that way, man. It does not feel safe just because you drop down a Photon Overcharge. You, like, drop down a Photon Overcharge and they're like, well, I'm just gonna sack all my units. And they kill off, like, 16 probes or something because you were just like, no, I'm safe now. Uh, it's still a little bit crazy. But yeah, it can definitely help out a substantial bit. So I think a Protoss player would be a good choice. And also, I mean, PvT, I think there are a lot of Protoss players who have really been feeling quite comfortable as it goes into later and later stages of the game. Terran players have had a little bit of trouble dealing with some of the late game Protoss shenanigans that can go on, and I really just do think that it could be one of the winning plays to go for a Protoss player right now. And honestly, you think about it, you get a Protoss player out there, let's say he beats Apocalypse, then you maybe, I want to say you'll probably end up going against either Arium or Gamja. Arium might be a little bit hard because he's honestly has got a pretty solid PvP. But PvP is a little bit more volatile, so you can still get some nice kind of like easier wins off of that if you just kind of get a little bit lucky with the build orders, openings, and everything. But even Gamja, I feel like that may end up working out well because there's just so many different things a Protoss player can do against the Zerg.
Fear Dragon, you say that with a slight hint of guilt.
I do play Protoss, and I will say there are quite a few things you can do
Oh
against.
God,
I will
that
not
sounds
even
so creepy.
I will not even go into how many games I straight up had lost against a Zerg player. Like by all means and rights, I should have lost, but one behind Dark Shrine, or well, I guess I'll just pump out like 3 Void Rays at a time and hope that he doesn't attack me for 2 extra minutes, and then suddenly I start sniping off bases and Mothership recalling out, and he just doesn't know what to do, and I somehow end up with it's like all kinds of crazy stuff that you can do as a Protoss player. I think there's a lot of different tools you have at your disposal. So honestly, anything could happen. And you know what, Blisterus, what race are we gonna have? Because I think it's readily available now.
I don't know, Fear Dragon. I haven't gone through kindergarten to learn how to read yet.
Well, that's okay, Boisters. I understand that I'm more intelligent and smarter than you, and more handsome. But I will just go ahead and say this: we are going to be seeing a Protoss player come out for Team Immortal Gaming. It is going to be Cha Shui Bao. I don't know if that's correct. Char Su. Oh my
Cha
God, Boisters.
Subao.
I don't want to say anything because this is. I feel like I'm going to be racist if I pronounce this wrong.
You know what? No. Let's just go. Car Cu Bao. No, Car Cu Bao. Bao.
All right, and with that racism established,
was
I guess
racist.
I thank you for that, because now I can't actually be any worse at pronouncing that than you just did.
No problem, man.
It's actually impossible for me. But we will be jumping into this next game in just a couple of seconds, as the map is going to be Catalina, as I'll go ahead and mark that off on the maps that have already been picked. Yeah, actually, so far.
I was just reading lobby chat and I'm so confused. Do shrimp have blood, Fear Dragon?
Dude, why are they talking about whether shrimp have blood?
I don't know. I didn't read enough of the context. I just
All
saw
right.
that as a question posed. Do shrimp have blood?
I mean, I suppose they must, right?
They do. They absolutely
Yeah.
have blood for your dragon.
Because, I mean, they need to circulate the oxygen throughout their body.
Yep.
Yeah. Makes sense. Science here on twitch.tv/FearDragon64. We're going to go ahead and jump in and introduce the players as we spawn up here on the top side of the map. Catalina on top of the orange. Protoss player. He is going to be the rebuttal and possibly one of the last two remaining hopes for Immortal Gaming. It is going to be Char Sua Bao.
And down here, in the southern-ish position of Catalina, we are going to have currently up 2-1 in this series, IvD's Apocalypse as our Red Terran player.
Apocalypse's SCVs are already partying, man, with those party hats on. He's already kind of, I'm sure, pretty happy about how this series is going. I mean, already up 2-0. Now has to play against a Protoss player. So, I mean, if he wins this, I don't know what you do. If he wins this convincingly, I should say, I don't know what you do. Because you won a TVT, really, not super handily. Okay, I'll say a little bit handily. It went pretty well for him.
Yeah.
The TVZ was just scary. And if he wins this, like, what race do you send out against this guy? I don't even know, man.
Well, you bribe Blizzard to add a fourth race to the game. Let's call them Naga.
Zelnaga?
No, I'm talking Warcraft 3 Naga.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like
the water-based creatures.
You know, there is the Zelnaga in StarCraft lore. You could have gone with Zelnaga.
I don't know what you're talking about, Fear Dragon.
I didn't play StarCraft.
I don't understand. I've only read like 4 of the books for your dragon. Okay, okay. I don't know.
I've only read 4 of them. All right. Well, double gas opening coming out from our orange Protoss player. I'm just gonna call him Char, man. Char's a pretty good name. But this is actually not super irregular these days either. I have seen actually a little bit of a drift back toward, you know, 1 gas expands these days, but generally when you end up seeing the double gas opening, it just allows you to get up that mothership core a little bit faster, allows you to build up energy a little bit quicker, and deal with any kind of early timing attacks, or even Reaper harassment can be a little bit easier to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't get over this. These party hats are super oversized on probes.
On probes?
Yeah, look at that. It looks like it should fall over onto its head.
Actually, it does sort of look like one of those things where there's like a beanie and it's like covering the person's eyes.
Yeah,
like, you know, that
that's what
happens
I mean.
a lot in cartoons.
Yeah.
Well, I guess these probes might have, I guess they're robotic, so maybe they have like thermal vision or something. You just make it work out through thermal vision, man. I mean, these Reapers definitely are exuding a lot of heat with their little jetpacks.
Yeah, man, look at them. There's so much fire.
This guy is burning with passion. Passion to kill probes.
He's the Burning Man.
He's gonna go hang out Burning Man.
He's gonna go hang out in the desert for 6 weeks.
I've heard really, really crazy things about that festival.
I think everyone has. I think that's like an American touchstone. It's that weird stuff happens at Burning Man. But anyway, hopping back into the game, we have the Reaper getting a 2nd probe kill, which is huge, especially after the mothership core is up.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising he gets the 2nd one. I can understand sort of losing 1 probe while you're waiting for the mothership core to get up, but oh my god, this Reaper is going to completely juke and jive this mothership core. And look at this. He gets back in. Not only is he going to be able to do more harassment and potentially kill off a 3rd probe, he kills a 3rd probe. He also sees a Stargate warping in. And that's going to give him, he already has, surround.
If he had realized he was surrounded and just started shooting a 2nd earlier, he could have gotten the 4th probe there.
But I mean, he already has an engineering bay down. He can easily get up the missile turret at both his main base and his natural expansion. This Oracle is going to have a hard time doing a lot of damage. Unless, I suppose, he goes straight after the Marines, because there's not actually that... There's still only 6 Marines out, and the Oracle can take on those 6 Marines.
Well, even then, you know, you do 6 Marines of worth of damage, and then the Terran player just goes whoop-de-doo and makes 6 more Marines. Actually, no, it makes 8 more Marines, so you can't kill them off this time.
Yeah. Still no missile turret going up for Apocalypse. This is...
That's
he's
curious.
either cutting it really close... Well, okay, he He has a missile turret at the natural expansion. Actually, I really like this decision. This is like one of those small corners you can get.
Pile up all the Marines in the main base. Yeah.
It's the equivalent of having a missile turret there, basically. So the Oracle can't really engage it, and you save an extra 75 mils. Just a small little corner that you cut.
Yeah. It looks like the Oracle's going to try to come in here and get some damage done, but man, that missile turret, it's already turning away. I don't know what his plan is now.
It's going to be hard. I mean, you can transition out, like, from going for these Oracle openings. The Oracle openings aren't made to end the game anymore. I mean, they certainly used to be when you used to proxy them off of one base and add on 3 gateways and just go for it, but I mean, you can definitely transition out, but the choice to go for a Void Ray is not quite a standard, and there's a second Void Ray on the way. What are we seeing here, Boisterous?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I have no idea what this build is.
Okay, well, he has Warp Gate technology now. So this isn't like a I'm going pure air toss build, like you have no idea what I'm doing, but oh, this is gonna be very strange. And oh, actually, Oracle just managed to get 6 kills.
Yeah, I mean,
nice job.
That's good, but when you're going straight air toss and your opponent has a platoon of Marines heading over to your side, you kind of need the Oracle in.
This is where the photon overcharge discussion comes back into play, right? Where there's 200 energy on that mothership core, you got it nice and early. He is going to be able to photon overcharge and use a stalker and maybe even the sentry if need be to just push those Marines back. And yeah, he's not even going to take any chances. He has the energy to spare. Immediately throw out the photon overcharge.
I mean, this is nice for Apocalypse purely because he gets to completely deny the third base. Like, the third base is not going to be going up anytime soon. I mean, Char Subao just doesn't have the units to fight through this army.
Yeah, that's certainly true. And actually, medevacs are going to be on the way, so once the medevacs actually come out, he will be able to go for some kind of a nice little drop pressure. And just thinking about this, whenever I see a Protoss player going for a Stargate build, I always think I'd love to see him go for a Phoenix, just because the Phoenix can always chase down the medevacs, and you can always at least get some good damage in, even if they end up dropping the Marines out of the medevacs and, you know, push back your Phoenix. You're causing a huge hassle, but hold that thought. Marines now moving in, they take out, what? No, he doesn't actually get the Void Ray. He just traded all those units for free. Oh my god.
He got the sentry. That's good enough for your dragon, right? Right, for your dragon?
Nice, but he just traded off a good 14 Marines, I want to say. 14 Marines for that sentry and 99 health. Or, you know, 95 health or whatever on that Void Ray. It's really not quite worth it. Apocalypse is going to go back in once again with a double medevac drop, but oh, Char's moving out right now.
Yeah. There's nothing at home for Apocalypse.
Where's the mothership? Oh wait, okay, he has the mothership core. Oh, mothership core is not going to be there in time to save the third expansion. It does get canceled. He's not gonna take massive damage in his main base, at least.
I kind of wish he would just poke out or push out, because there is nothing at home for Apocalypse. Oh my god, did he just throw away the Oracle?
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate. I think he believed that Apocalypse wouldn't want to engage, but I mean, Apocalypse got a nice snipe off on that. And now he's going to go over to the main base, try and do a little bit of damage over there, but Char is actually already morphing in 2 Archons and a Zealot. Can make those into, or sorry, 2 Templar to morph into an Archon and a Zealot. Try and deal with that double medevac drop, but I don't know if this is actually going to be enough. Oh, I guess it can feedback and then morph into an Archon, but he needs to warp in more there.
Most certainly. I'm guessing he will at some point.
Well, warp gates are now off cooldown. He recalls back out. This is actually less than ideal. He loses 2 Void Rays during the process, and
that was iffy.
Oh god, and there's another little attack going on over the natural expansion. Apocalypse is doing some nice damage over here, but it's mostly Zealots that are taking damage, so not too many more probes are going down, but 18 probes already lost at this point.
Yeah, I really wish Char Subao had just pushed out and left his mothership core at home to photon overcharge.
I completely agree with you. I think that would have been great, or even just as soon as he morphed in those high Templars, I really would have preferred to have just seen him morph them into an Archon immediately. Yeah, the feedback is great to deal with the medevacs, but honestly, all he needed was to buy a little more time for the next round of warp-ins to come out. And now he's lost so many expensive units. I don't know how this push is going to go.
I'm going to go out on a limb and hazard not particularly well.
Well, I haven't seen this kind of push out very often.
Although he does
With
have Storm
Warriors.
now, and he does have a couple of Storms.
He doesn't have any High Templars with this army, though.
There's two tailing.
Okay, there's two a good distance away, but the engagement is happening right now. The High Templar's late to the party. One Storm does go down.
Storm. Those were pretty nice storms, but there just isn't any army left.
Apocalypse dodges out of most of them, and yeah, he takes a lot of damage on his army. But as you were saying, there's no army left over, and the medevac can eventually heal these guys up. The Zealots don't have charge just yet. It's actually still a good 100 or so seconds away from finishing. He's going to have to run away, but he's going to take a substantial number of losses with these.
Wow. I mean, like, Apocalypse, I don't know. There were so many things I wish Charles Bao had done, because I feel like Apocalypse, he had chinks in his army that he could have taken out.
Boisters, right now, I hate to say it, but Apocalypse is ahead more army supply than Char actually has right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. By a landslide, Fear Dragon. You're not actually properly saying it. He has like 400% more army supply than Char Subao has.
Oh yeah, army supply, of course. 22 army supply to 70. And of course, it looks like a couple upgrades also finishing up for our Terran player Apocalypse. Terran player Apocalypse from IvD Gaming looking for another win, looking to bring the series 3-1. He's charging it over here, getting a good pickups on these High Templar. A nice Storm does go down, but it's just not quite enough to do enough damage. And his third expansion looks like it's going to go down. Oh no, the probe's going to go down immediately afterwards as well.
Those party hat probes. They didn't know what they were getting into, Fear Dragon.
That was not a party of Boisters. That was a misleading party. That was the wrong party invite. That was actually a massacre.
Yeah, that was not good. I think I was about to make a joke that was offensive, so I steered away from it, Fear Dragon.
I know what joke you were going to make, and I'm glad you steered away because it looks like
man.
the final stand over here for Char is going to be happening as he uses these charge ults. I mean, to a good effect, he has +2 armor on these guys, so they do survive for a good bit of time, but I mean, he's lost his natural expansion at the cost of defending his main base. He doesn't really have an economy, and he's up against a 3-base Terran. He's pulling the probes, and Boisterous, IvD's Apocalypse, gonna be bringing this to game number 5 with a 3-1 lead for IvD Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, it's... I want to see another Protoss, Fear Dragon. I want to see another Protoss. Just one more. Just one more.
A Protoss doing a more standard style, or something a little bit weird or cheeky?
Honestly, that could have worked for Char Subao. I am not joking when I said that when he was pushing out with his army, when he had the Oracle and the 4 Void Rays and like the 6 Zealots, there was nothing at home for Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Literally nothing. Like, he didn't have a bunker up. He had 2 missile turrets. He had like a random orbital command sitting out in the middle of his natural. He could have smashed that base to shreds before the Terran player even got his army back onto the same horizon. Like, it would have been over. And instead he turned around and tried to chase down medevacs, which isn't going to happen with that army.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thought. Like, I kind of agree with you. I think that the fact that he had to recall there completely messed up his game plan. It was clear and obvious that he wanted to go for an attack right there. I mean, he was finishing up a lot of his warp gates. He had a proxy pylon set up. He was moving out across the map, but just that those 2 medevacs going over and canceling the 3rd expansion just ruined his day. And I have to agree.
It put doubt in his mind. Because he was pushing out into his opponent's base when his 3rd base was going down, and they turned around to try to deal with that. If he hadn't have doubted himself and he had gone like, nah, I got this, and just, cheesed it the rest of the way, like, he could take that base trade.
Maybe. I sort of see what you're saying, but I think it's still an awkward situation when you have 2 medevacs worth of units that are in a really good position, and they can start depowering all the pylons in your main base, and you don't have anything to defend there. Especially if the pylons get depowered, like, you actually don't have any unit production. If the Terran player then retreats back into his main base, somehow manages to hold on long enough to get up like a handful of units and just kind of barely defend, the Terran player is in a huge lead. So I can kind of understand where there'd be a little bit of doubt there.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think,
yeah.
Leaving the Monster Core at home would have been an enormous kind of win for him.
Yeah. I mean, I think the big issue was that like he made an Oracle and then it did no damage. And when that happens, you kinda at some point just got to throw all your chips on the table. Like
it didn't do a net damage initially. It did end up getting 6 worker kills, which is not too bad.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, I will say, could have actually changed the way that game played out entirely. When he was chasing that medevac drop, and he had the Oracle. Remember how he tried to attack with the Oracle, and he ended up losing it? Imagine if he had thrown a Revelation down instead on that drop, and then because he was trying to push out, right?
Yeah.
And if he had thrown down a Revelation and just let that medevac drop do whatever the heck it wanted, but he was able to keep an eye on it and say like preemptively, oh, you're bringing it over for a drop, warp in a handful of units just preemptively to prepare for the drop. Or if you saw the medevac heading home, you could just say, okay, well, I'll warp in more units and go for an even bigger attack.
Yeah. That's a good point.
That could have changed the way the game played, but I mean, Blizzard's, there's a million and one things, honestly, in almost every game of StarCraft. I even like the very top level, like GSL, like CODES finals, whatever, WCS like grand finals. There's always a million and one things that players wish they could have done better. At the end of the day, it's however you play it out that's going to matter, and whoever makes the least mistakes oftentimes is going to end up being the winner.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to seeing who exactly Immortal Gaming is going to be sending out next. I have one of the people from Immortal Gaming ask me if there's a map reset.
I do not believe there is. I think you just play it out.
Well, we're going to go ahead and figure this out, as this may require a little bit more of a deeper look into the rules. So, guys, we're going to be right back. Please don't go anywhere, as we may be jumping into our final series of the day. But actually, you know, Apocalypse is saying that it's okay. So, I mean, I have no problem with it.
I guess. I mean, I wanted to see Foxtrot Labs, but, you know, I'll get over it. I'll get over it now.
Okay, I'm just going to tell them that, hey, I'm not a referee or like an official referee on this match. I'm just a commentator, but I have no problem with it.
I have absolutely no use in this tournament past administrative value. But you know what? I mean, YOLO, right? Right,
yeah,
guys?
Right. I give you permission as somebody who has no authority to do so. Just know that I do not have authority to give permission for that.
So if you win this match,
I cover my butt on that.
You might not be in such a good shape, but you know.
Yeah. I'm sure it's fine though. If Apocalypse is saying it's okay, then
yeah, I doubt there's gonna be a stink about it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, yeah, it'd be pretty silly if like Apocalypse said it was okay, and then I was like, well, no, that shouldn't count after I lose or whatever because blah blah blah.
That would be very, very annoying.
Apocalypse is actually a really nice guy, so yes. I am not expecting anything of the sort. But
having had no contact with the man, I am sure he is a nice fellow.
But regardless, yeah, it looks like both the players and teams agree on it, so. We're going to go ahead and figure out what map they have in mind, as it's sort of weird because I was going to say like there are a couple maps that we haven't seen yet, but let's take a look at the maps that we have seen to find out what map it is going to be. We've seen Catalina, King Sejong Station, Merry-Go-Round, and Overgrowth. I'm
calling it right here. It's going to be Merry-Go-Rounds with a cheese play.
Merry-Go-Rounds with a cheese play.
Oh, it's Merry-Go-Rounds.
Well, I don't...
I got half of it so far.
Well, you actually called Merry-Go-Round after I had already seen what the map was, so I'm not sure.
I had not seen what the map was, so
I'll take your word for it. Okay, Merry-Go-Round with a cheese play. Cheese play from the player from Immortal Gaming, or from Apocalypse? Because I can see Apocalypse cheesing here.
That's a good point. I think it's going to be from Immortal Gaming though, because they're the ones that were like that wanted the map reset. They probably wanted the 3-player maps back into the pool.
Hold on. This is gonna be a double proxy racks from both players. It's gonna turn into a proxy racks base trade.
That's not gonna happen, future.
That would be amazing.
Speaking of which, what is with the players' color choices this series? Because the first two games, it was red versus blue, and then it was red versus pink, orange versus red, and now light blue versus blue. It looks like they were getting our hopes up with those first two games, and then they just came down with the iron fist of Thor and crushed it. Fear Dragon just destroyed it.
I don't know, man. So it's always interesting. But yeah, light blue versus blue is less than ideal because they're basically the same color in a mirror matchup.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure we'll be able to keep track of them.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, the only thing that might be a little bit annoying is like Widowmines and Banshees, I think.
Yeah.
I think the rest will be pretty obvious.
I mean, Fear Dragon, it's not like we talk about the game ever anyway, so.
I know, you're usually just like making random like history references or something.
That was a funny joke, Fear Dragon.
I don't think. All right,
that was a
if you
funny
in chat
joke.
actually ever even heard the joke and recognize it as a history joke, say something in chat.
Someone has got to hear about Nero fiddling while Rome burned. Someone has to know that reference.
Oh, Nero! I understand it now. Boisters, come back. Boisters. We're jumping into the game, guys, as we go into game number 5 between these two teams. I'm good to have you back, Boisters.
I hate you so much. I hate you so much. What did you think it was a history joke about Fear Dragon? Apocalypse?
I was just like, fiddles in Rome, like, oh, okay, and like Rome is burning and there's somebody playing a fiddle. I guess there's some abstract like piece of history that I just don't know about. But we're gonna go ahead and jump in and introduce the players so that Boisters can have a little bit of time to get over how upset he is with me as we spawn up here in the top right-hand corner of the map. Merry-go-round once again. It is going to be the Blue Terran player representing Team IvD Gaming, currently up 3-1. IvD's Apocalypse.
And down here in the southern position of Merry-Go-Round Ladder Edition, we have from Team Immortal, their final hope, the light Blue Terran player, Haste. I'm so disappointed in you right now.
Oh, man. Well, TVT and Boisters, this is the first matchup that we saw Apocalypse play, and I know we said it was somewhat decisive. Like, it ended up being kind of a decisive win just because I feel like Apocalypse sort of played it out build order-wise a little bit better. But I don't think it was like I out decision-making you or I out microed you or anything. I think it was like my build order, like I got the Raven up and you really should have gotten a Raven up or saved up energy for a scan. And you didn't. So you ended up just taking massive amount of damage to the Cloak Banshee that I did not take because I got up a Raven. And I feel like, you know what? This could actually still go okay for Immortal Gaming's Haste.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, this is actually the same map.
This is, but it's different spawn positions.
It's merry-go-round, dude.
That's a good point.
Spawn positions don't matter that much.
Yeah, that's kind of true. I feel like it can matter a little bit just because for Apocalypse, for example, his normal third expansion is going to be expanding away from Haste, whereas Haste is going to be expanding toward Apocalypse. As you can just kind of see, like if they end up taking symmetrical third expansions, this expansion for for Haste over here is going to be actually pretty close to Apocalypse, whereas Apocalypse is going to have a little bit of easier time taking a third, I think. But yeah, in the early game, I don't think it's going to be huge differences.
Looks like Haste just managed to stroll an SCV right into his opponent's face, just in time for a Marine to pop out and slaughter it mercilessly.
Yeah, I think it's more like he trapped an SCV in there. But you know, Factory going to be going up, and of course, Haste does get vision of that. Haste going for a Factory of his own, and actually adding on that second Gas Geyser nice and early. Now, this to me smells like Cloak Banshees.
Is this going to be an exact mirror game of last game for your Dragon?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a complete mirror game. Apocalypse has not gotten that second gas geyser. He's not gonna have quite as much gas coming in, so he may still go for, say, like a Banshee opening, but maybe he doesn't follow it up with a Raven or something this game. Maybe instead he saves up energy for scans or something else of the sort. But I don't know. Haste is gonna be getting up the tech lab, getting up the starport. I feel like that second, I mean, he's gonna have so much more gas than Apocalypse.
Yeah. I don't know what he's gonna do with all that extra gas.
Medevac, like, actually. There's no tech lab down for Apocalypse. He's not going for the Banshee play. He's going for a Widow Mine plus Marine drop.
Interesting. Interesting indeed, Fear Dragon.
Oh no, sorry, Hellion. Hellion, that's interesting.
Oh man, there's interesting all over the place.
There's a lot of interesting going on, but yet another interesting fact is that the Banshee is about halfway completed and Cloak is actually being researched for haste, so he better make some haste because he's only going to have a short little timing window to make this happen, because I feel like at some point, yeah, Apocalypse is going to get that tech lab and probably get up another Raven because he has that second gas geyser. He doesn't really show any signs of throwing down a command center right now. So I feel like there's gonna be a missile turret going up. Like, okay, actually now I'm not even sure if he's gonna get the Raven.
I don't know, man.
Let's see.
I'm pretty baffled right now.
Well, Banshee's gonna make its way across the map. I'm curious to see how much damage it'll do. Medevac drop, moving in from Apocalypse, and all the SCVs have been forced off of mining so far for haste. And that Widow Mine is broke. Oh, he did.
Oh,
whoa!
God!
Did it just attack a Marine or something? Like, what in the
No,
world? There's only one
SCV.
unit.
There was an SCV that was flashing over.
Was that amazing control by haste, or was that really, really lucky? I'm not actually sure.
I don't know, man. That was. I want to say that was amazing control, but I honestly. That was probably just luck.
Things are working out pretty damn well for haste right now, because this Banshee's already managed to net itself 4 worker kills, and now going up to 5, canceling that command center. The missile turret is there, but there's just not enough Marines to really do a whole lot about it, and the missile turret doesn't fully cover the entire mineral line. Although the Banshee has to be careful using the actual buildings around to stop those Marines from chasing. I like the kind of movements that haste is using over here, but this Banshee's not going to be able to stick around for too much longer because
it needs to peace out. Because this is ready for a scan. And it's
does end up falling, but I mean he got some pretty decent damage done. Just not as much as Apocalypse did. Well, we have 8 workers killed versus 5 workers killed. Apocalypse still does have that Banshee up and alive, even though it hasn't really gotten any kills. Could snag one over here on the natural expansion. Just delay that. Oh, auto turret being dropped down to try and snag the Banshee kill. Doesn't quite manage to get it, but hey, I mean, at least he has the detection and everything. He's not going to have to worry about that Banshee too much. But Apocalypse has like a 6 worker lead, has his natural expansion finished up, and I feel like he's sitting in a relatively comfortable position. Boisters, can I tell you a secret?
What's that secret, man?
I don't see enough TVTs these days. I'm gonna be totally honest.
Are you clueless right now?
I'm a little bit puzzled. Like I still hold by the fact that I think Apocalypse is sitting in a relatively comfortable position.
All numbers would indicate so, Fear Dragon. Especially now.
Literally the numbers. Because he's up a good 8 or 9, actually, yeah, 9 workers now as he's dropping once again in the main base. And I might not know that much about TVT, but I will say that Apocalypse is doing a really, really good job against Haste. And Haste is kind of struggling to deal with this harassment.
Yeah, it took so long for Haste's army to get pulled there. But it looks like the Marine force is going to get sacrificed here. The medevac's going to get sacrificed too.
Ooh.
Why is there an SCV from Apocalypse in his opponent's main base?
Well, I guess he wanted to repair something. Maybe repair the Widow Mines. I don't really know, man. But what? Wait.
What?
Guys, I know the colors are similar, but Apocalypse is building a Manor missile turret.
What the hell?
I don't know what to say. Boisters, I know I don't know a lot about TVT, But that's not supposed to happen, right?
I wonder. I wonder if he was trying to get a missile turret up. So later, Haste would look at his main base and be like, "Nah, it's fine."
Yeah. I don't need any detection against this Banshee. The colors are so similar, and maybe would have worked, but does not quite end up working. Now we're gonna see a nice little push out from Haste, but there's just not that many units over here, and he's gonna have a hard time pushing up this ramp, especially against the Raven and the Viking seizing. Well, actually, no, those are Haste, Raven and Viking seizing control of the air. God, there's just 3 siege tanks over here, and the army just gets instantly decimated.
Destroyed. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is looking pretty grim for Team Immortal Gaming. Apocalypse, he is no one to be scoffing at. He is a really, really strong Korean Terran player. And right now, he looks like he could be on the verge of taking a 4-1 victory, and it would, in fact, be an all-kill, because he did, in fact, or it might, in fact, all-kill the entire team of Immortal Gaming. Right now, he's sitting up a solid 50 supply over his opponent. There's 4 army supply left over for Haste. He's building bunkers and barracks, but he doesn't even have any units to put in the bunkers right now, Boisterous. He has a siege tank to defend.
Dude, he's crossing that thin red line. It's gonna be Apocalypse now.
No Apocalypse later. No sequel will be showing in theaters anytime in the next couple of months. This game is going to be decided, honestly, this game is going to be decided right here and right now, because there is no coming back from it for Haste if he does not somehow make some sort of miraculous hold. Siege tanks are now sieging up for Apocalypse. Haste is getting some nice pot shots off, but boom go the siege tanks of Apocalypse, cleaning up the only remaining siege tank. And there goes the entire army of Haste.
Yep.
He has 6 more Marines coming out. He throws down a mule. Some desperate attempt to get up some minerals to mine, but Boisterous.
It's this is the swan song for Team Immortal.
Very much is. It's gonna
That
be...
wasn't even one of my jokes, Spear Dragon.
Huh?
That wasn't even a joke. And you laughed at it more than you laughed at any of my jokes. I'm very upset right now, Spear Dragon.
GG gets called. And Apocalypse is going to be taking the series 4-1.
To Apocalypse.
As I completely ignore Boisterous. Well, that's okay, because I don't have to deal with you soon. I'm just kidding, guys. For those of you who don't know, Boisterous and I have been casting for together for quite a while, and we're good pals. So whenever I'm poking fun at him, it's because I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, hate him.
That's very. It's a mutual feeling.
I meant we're okay. We're okay with each other.
No, we hate each other. We're. I'm a plane ticket away from wearing Fear Dragon's face as a mask.
You've been threatening that one for a while. Okay, this has been a threat since like URTL season 2, like a year and a half to 2 years ago.
That would have been one of the first. I would have made that joke one of the first times we ever casted together.
You did make that joke the first time we casted together. But
I was gonna wear your face as a mask. I could have stolen your identity, man. Gotten more casting time.
Oh my god. Well, I'm curious if we'll ever see Apocalypse wearing somebody else's face, because honestly, no shame exactly from Immortal Gaming. I mean, they definitely did play well, but Apocalypse is honestly just a really, really good Terran player. He is one of the top fielders for Team IvD Gaming, and IvD Gaming is probably one of the best North American-based teams that there is. So, this Korean player, able to get the all-kill, and quite frankly, he's probably ripped off the faces of all of his victims and could wear them around wherever he wanted to if he so chooses.
Man, this got dark.
It was a massacre, man. It was a little bit brutal to watch.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
But still, I have to hand it to, like, I think that it's, again, nothing to take away from Immortal Gaming. Apocalypse is honestly just that damn good. And I think we were saying, there were a couple points in time where we felt like, you know what? Maybe some of the Immortal Gaming players could have taken against Apocalypse, especially that Protoss player. Was it Nero? Was Nero the Protoss player? No, it was Char
Subao.
Char Subao. That is actually probably how you pronounce it.
Probably.
Char Subao. But yeah, he actually had a really, really cool build, which was very interesting to watch. I don't think it worked out quite how he wanted it to. But I think it definitely could have worked out. So really well done by both of the teams. But in the end, IvD Gaming taking the 4-1 victory. And going to be sitting, I believe now 3-0 in the SC2 Improved Team League.
That would not surprise me one bit, Fear Dragon.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Immortal Esports, not sitting too bad. I mean, they were sitting 1-1 before, now sitting 1-2. But still, it's very early on in the team league. There's still plenty of opportunities to change the stakes and how it ends up going. I know that somebody in the chat was saying that was week 4, but according to Wikipedia, the only scores that I actually have available were those 2 games, or those, I guess, from week 1 and week 2. So, as far as I'm aware, it's effectively like 1-2 for Immortal Esports and 3-0 for IvD Gaming. If you know better, feel free to drop it in the chat so people kind of have a good feel for that. But guys, we're going to be closing up the stream. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Normally this is happening over on Ward's channel for the SC2 Improved Team League. But today Ward has been unable to make it, so we decided to just do another cast without him. Boisters and I haven't really casted for together for a while, so thought I would get the chair couch crew back together.
I'm sure I just reminded him why we haven't.
Yeah, and guys, this is the last time you'll ever see us casting it.
No, man, breaking out season 3. You need me, Fear Dragon. I don't have a life.
At some point, man. But boys, just where can people actually catch you at? Because I know you have some of your own stuff going on.
Yeah, you know, I play games that are usually not StarCraft over at twitch.tv/boisterousSC2. And then I tweet about when I actually do StarCraft stuff over at twitter.com at boisterousSC2.
Twitter.com/boisterousSC2.
There's no way that's actually the URL, right?
That is the URL. It's just twitter.com/boisterousSC2.
I don't even know I don't know.
All right, guys, give him some love there so that he actually learns what the Twitter URL is for his own Twitter.
I don't understand.
Get him to start using it some more because he definitely needs some more followers. And guys, if you enjoyed the broadcast, also consider following this channel over here, twitch.tv/FearDragon64. And this is actually the show or the channel that I do the show Breaking Out on. It's about up-and-coming North American StarCraft 2 players, where I highlight an up-and-coming North American StarCraft 2 player. Normally it used to be each week, but with this next season, it's going to be 2 players a week. And that's actually going to be starting up in August. So if you're interested in that, please consider following the channel. You get a little bit more notification about that. And I have players that are actually going to be playing in this team league. We didn't quite get to see Arium play, but he is from IvD Gaming, and he was actually on the first season of Breaking Out.
Isn't he from My Insanity now?
Oh my God! Yeah, wow. I'm so used to seeing IvD Arium, but yeah, he did recently get picked up by Team MYI, so my bad. I'm actually feel really bad about that one.
Yeah, you probably should. I was going to correct you earlier, but then I was like, nah, I want to be completely confident.
Oh my God, you should correct me. I was like, IvD can field Arium. IvD can field Arium.
Nah, I'm way more right than Fear Dragon is.
Oh man, but IvD's Fog is actually another one of the players, and he also was on Breaking Out Season 2, so a lot of different players like that you could end up seeing in this team league as well as on the show, so please do consider following me there, as well as over on twitter.com/FearDragon64, and all the VODs are over on YouTube, so if you want to just look at any of the links that are down below the video, or even just get a quick description of what Breaking Out is, feel free to just check down below the Twitch channel, and you'll get more info on that. But with that being said, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Be sure to also check out IvD Gaming and Immortal Esports. We're out. Have a wonderful night, guys.
Time to learn some Roman history, Fear Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.